We have been wandering around for eons, incarnation upon incarnation, going through the same experiences hundreds of times in this world of the treadmill, of eternal repetition, of eternal rising, shining, and fading. We have been seeking and wandering around for eons with our unsettled desires, our passionate struggles, and our vain attempts to escape from the suffering. For eons, we have been suffering the anguish of karma, of the burden of guilt which we create and which we inflict upon ourselves by our dark way of life. For eons, we have been enduring the suffering of ignorance, the suffering of separateness, the fear on account of our distress of life, the horrors of hate and struggle and crime, the fruit of our passion for self-preservation and of our selfishness, our inner misery and our delusions. And then at last, the liberating call, "Awake, O sleeper, arise from the dead, and Christ shall shine over you," becomes real to us. It is evident now, following a spiritual path is the fundamental task for humankind. There is a path of liberation, which is the path of deliverance from suffering, sorrow, and darkness. It is the path of return to eternal harmony, path of becoming one again with the universal radiation power of the eternal source of all things, a renewed union with the universal source of life. By means of our own observation, we don't know nor we have the first-hand knowledge of the true purpose of our life, or to which purpose we are called and driven. It has become very difficult for human beings today to realize their true aim in life. Everything we are and do is the result of speculations of our own ignorant and dark consciousness. People around us are all searching for something. We all chase different things: to gain more money, to find a better job. We seek freedom and perfection. Some people strive to build a better world around us. But this desire to find that something and experiencing a real fulfillment are two different things. And it often happens that when we gain what we think we are searching for, we don't feel that lasting satisfaction. That does not make us any happier. We all want to be something more than we are today. And when we reach that something more, we want even more. We always want to expand. We always want more. But there is a way, a method of removing all the obscurity and confusion that stands between us and our new reality. The words, "the hour has come," do not mean the hour of the way of torture, the hour of the beginning of suffering, but the hour of commencing on the path of the rose and the cross. This is why the line of life which we ourselves drew is continually crossed and broken by the power stream of God, which governs the divine plan and brushes aside everything that inhibits this fulfillment. This is why there is only one path to freedom. It is the path of return to cosmic obedience, the path of return to harmony with the Logos. However, recent developments in science and technology have not done much to improve the quality of our lives. They have not been able to free us from distress or to bring us any closer to enduring joy and happiness. In fact, in many cases, this expansion of modern society is bringing up front a new set of difficulties that we did not face in the past. Our focus and attention, our adjustments to outer events, the latest news, scandals, or technological developments leave little or no time for us to turn our attention towards exploring ourselves and the meaning of our life. If we look around us, we see how people are constantly trying to satisfy this primordial desire for fulfillment and perfection, but they never quite succeed. All these efforts are our own attempts to fill the void inside of us, the void we call pre-remembrance. It is the search for a long-lost state of being. This is an awareness that perfection does exist. It is a motivating power, which is why we are in constant search for perfect life. Therefore, it becomes evident that all the external enhancements are not sufficient to bring the happiness and peace we all desire. To be able to achieve that, internal transformation through spiritual development is crucial, and for this transformation to occur, we need to follow a spiritual path. At the entrance of the spiritual path of liberation, and over the gates to this road, over the gates to this narrow path to life, are the words, "Man, know thyself." These classic words have always been spoken throughout the ages to the human being who sought deliverance from the kingdom of darkness, suffering, and death, which we, in our profound misunderstanding, call our world.
Man, know thyself is the first requirement for the person who is starting to make first steps on a spiritual path. We all need to take self-knowledge as our guide now when we are becoming more conscious of our ignorance and impossibility of attaining perfection in this world. Real insight into our own state of being makes us see that the only possible next step for us is a total reversal. a complete inner reversal, a transformation of our whole approach of life and our whole inner state. This inner path of change that can happen once we realize that we have a nucleus of the Kundalini force in our hearts is maybe best explained by the quote from Rumi. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. End of quote. It is true, a tremendous process of change must take place in us. It involves the birth of a new human being, a process of rebirth. We call this process transfiguration or change of personality, and the holy language speaks of it as the rebirth out of water and the spirit. Water, the living water, is the primordial matter, the divine original substance, out of which the kingdom of God was built, and out of which the body, which is required for the return, must also be built. Transfiguristic philosophy is a universal philosophy. It has accompanied fallen man upon his road of life from the dawn of dialectical mankind, and it is not subject to any change whatsoever. Transfiguristic philosophy is the divine touch which is being offered to anyone, to everyone, and which is ceaselessly and directly active in seeking and keeping with that which was lost. More and more people now discover that they not only need their head, but also the intelligence of their heart to function properly in the current changing world. They discover that their mind needs the warmth of their heart to achieve insight with regard to all essential things of life. The time in which we live demands an open heart, because light that is omnipresent around us can only approach us and forge a link with us at the moment when our heart is open. Because we cannot, by our own powers, construct that new body, we must build it in the power of the Spirit, God's Spirit, which manifests itself in the Spirit spark in our heart. For that is the only contact with our original state of being. This means that God's Spirit must manifest itself in us anew, in our divine immortal human form. And consequently, that means a change of our personality. Our old body must die. The new one must be born. This is the rebirth out of water and of spirit. This is the essence of transfiguration. The Spirit of God manifesting itself again in His creation. The true original human being, perfect as He is perfect, and created in His image and likeness. This process within us, this development towards the new life, is carried through in the following way. Our I being, our lower self, that dark soul essence in us, our consciousness, according to this nature, will have to descend from its throne. It will have to yield to a new consciousness, a new universal consciousness, a cosmic consciousness. Our I, which we in our miserable state worship, honor, and serve as a king, our I, which in reality is not a consciousness at all, but only an instinct of self-preservation, developed and sharpened by the struggle of life, this I, which is the creator of our delusions and the maintainer of our suffering, and therefore our greatest enemy, that I must make way for him who was, who is, and who is to come, our true personality. So you may ask, can we really change? Yes, more than ever before. We can, because the spiritual sun is rising and irresistibly increasing in strength by the day. It's the new era, the age of Aquarius, that mankind is invited to enter. We must change, not psychologically, not by meditation, nor exercises. No gurus or masters are needed. It's between us and the gnosis now. We can overcome ourselves to become ourselves. The pupil on the spiritual path must always be open to change. He must be independent, so that from hour to hour he will be able to understand the divine language. And maybe we cannot change the first step, but we can change the next one. Maybe we cannot go back and change the beginning, but we can start where we are and change the end. Our journey is defined by what we choose to do now. This change of personality is a great and glorious process, a process in which the self, the old man, continually decreases, while the new man, the Son of God, continually increases, as witnessed by John's pronouncement, I must decrease, but he must increase. It is a process in which our I voluntarily withdraws itself to make way and make straight the path for the power of Christ. At that point, the path of joy opens the gateway to the infinite. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. That is why all who are approaching the light should change not only the way they approach life, but also the way they perceive it. So friends, we invite you in this Aquarian age to be the change we yearn for.